Hello, everyone. Melissa Santana here, your co-host of the Miss Texas Show. Super excited as always. Any opportunity to have an engaging conversation, but also just and a necessary conversation with any wonderful guest and person that can help bring awareness to all these critical and important issues. But today we have the extra special treat that Miss Texas herself is actually going to be on the show, where I'm going to be interviewing Eileen. And so Eileen is going to be on the show today. Eileen, for those who don't already know, wears many hats, including being the spokesperson for Hope PYX Global, nonprofit organization that definitely helps with many critical issues, including all the great things that we talk about on the TheMsTexasShow, ending violence in our world, but also is now known as a TEDx speaker, on an award-winning host, because she also received the Presidential Achievement Award as well, but also is someone who founded a support group for those for survivors everywhere as well, so those surviving violence. And so founder of a support group, award-winning show host, TEDx speaker, spokesperson for a nonprofit. Like I said, the list goes on. And so with that, we will have Eileen Dong on the show today. Super excited, and I hope you are too.
The Miss Texas Show is a voice of hope for victims, survivors, advocates, and community leaders against gender-based violence to share their stories and resources. We began showcasing life in Texas. Today we are impacting lives not only in Texas, but also around the world. Under our segment Military Time, we run this segment in partnership with the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We invite military and veterans who have overcome traumatic events to share their experiences during and after their military service. Under our beauty segment, we invite fellow pageant winners and contestants, artists, musicians, actors, models, and dancers, and last but not least, our survivor leaders from family violence, sex trafficking, sexual assault, stalking, and other traumatic events, who are ambassadors for these causes to share their lives and the impact they have made. To become a guest on our show, email us at msusatexas@gmail.com. If you would like to support victims and survivors of gender-based violence, make a tax-deductible donation to Hope Picks Global at www.hopeyxglobal.org.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Miss Texas Show. Melissa Santana, your co-host. Excited as always. I want to officially welcome you again to the show, to this great opportunity that we have. As y'all heard, we have Eileen Dong herself. So, like, what a treat for us to be able to have that, to be able to have our wonderful face of the show here. And so, with that, I of course want to be able to officially tell you a little bit more about Eileen and all the wonderful things that she does, including because, like I as mentioned, wears many hats, and so as TEDx speaker now, so actually now we know that is a new thing, so we're definitely going to want to get into that today. Is also the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award winner, is the spokesperson for Hope Picks Global, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to a lot of the awareness of what we already do on the show. So it's wonderful that she does that. She's also an award-winning host for this here, the Miss Texas Show, and she has become the voice of hope for many survivors and advocates of traumatic events. She is also the founder of Survivors Against Violence Everywhere, which is a support group that serves as a safe platform for human trafficking, domestic abuse, and sexual assault survivors. Her short-term mission is to educate our communities on awareness and prevention, promote accountability for abusers, foster a community response to abuse, empower the survivors to succeed, train providers on cultural stigmas, and on effective methods to identify victims and communicate with them, as well as use a trauma-informed approach to avoid re-traumatizing victims and survivors. Her long-term vision is to build a shelter that provides a safe haven for survivors, as well as facilities with education to equip people from all backgrounds for equal employment opportunities and entrepreneurship. She has done many things throughout her lifetime, including conducting virtual in-person speeches and trainings to law enforcement, service providers, advocates, and beyond. Her merits include as one of which we mentioned the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, but also the Congressman Al Green, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, the Atlanta City Council has also recognized her, Sylvester Turner, the mayor of Houston, even proclaimed January 19th as Eileen Dong Day. She has tirelessly volunteered over 2,000 hours a year, no small feat there, sits on various boards, advisory boards, committees, and coalitions throughout Texas and nationally, and has served over 11,000 people. She has been featured on over 100 domestic and international television stations, such as TEDx Talks, as well as other media platforms and in multiple languages. She has been heard by over 36.1 million listeners on over 115 networks around the world. So clearly, it is a privilege and honor for us to be able to have her here today and talk to us more. So with that, Eileen, obviously is nothing short of a pleasure to have you. We don't always, and then, not everybody knows though, but even though we co-host, we don't always get the chance to be together all the time. So any opportunity is also a great pleasure for me personally too. So I'm very happy that we have this chance. And so I just want to give you the floor to update viewers on how life has been for you. How are you? What are you currently up to? And then we will get into the journey into this current TED Talk that you just recently did.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Melissa, for this warm welcome introduction. Like you said, we don't always get the opportunity for a space for you and I together, and we've been working behind the scene. I'm really honored to be here today. Yeah, it has been quite a long journey. And as you can see here from my TED Talk, which hopefully the link will be out soon. They do have a very strict guidelines to follow and a long process. So as soon as the link's available, we will be uploading. So if you want to, follow me on my personal LinkedIn, it's Eileen Dong, or go to Facebook, Eileen Dong Official. You will be able to find out those links, or simply just, email us, MissUSATexas@gmail. I'll put you on the email list to make sure you get that. But in short, like I said, you will hear in the TEDx talk, this wasn't about me. And it just like, I feel like when you do things for people, like you will get rewarded. And when you open the doors for people, doors will open for you. That's how I feel. And how I get here, gosh, that's such a long story. You see the butterflies in my background. I have become a big fan of butterfly, and some of you might know what butterfly stands for. It stands for healing. So for us survivors, and I am proud to say that I'm a survivor advocate against sexual assault, domestic violence, and sex trafficking. Because for people like us to speak out, it is not easy. It takes a lot of courage. And some of you might still be going through that right now. And I want to let you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to bring the hope to you. And here's my story. So in short, I was battered by my intimate partner. And I had to run for life. And you probably, see what I look like and have my accent. And, when I talk to my Texans, I'll say, hi, y'all, but I cannot hide my Chinese accent. And I was originally born and raised in Shanghai, China. So in the Chinese culture, it's operated by the honor and shame system, which means what happens in the family stays in the family. And even if you're a victim, and it makes it really hard for providers, for advocates, law enforcement to provide the much needed services, because people like us don't always identify ourselves as the victims. I can use a few examples, like there was this lady who called 911 when the police went there, and she was like, yeah, there was this crime scene, and describing things in third person instead of first person because she was afraid to self-identify herself as the victim. And there has been other examples that there was this male from Japan, and he had to admit himself to the recovery facility for alcohol and drugs. And as a requirement, he was required to send a letter to his family And family, you would think like in normal circumstances, they would give the support. On the contrary, they disowned him. And this, yes, and this is not the worst. The worst I have heard, our victims, they have their family wanted to have them killed because they consider that they have brought shame to the family. And as you can see, that is why it takes a lot of courage, and people have to weigh their risks. And I'm not encouraging everyone to say, hey, just go and speak out. Definitely, reach out to your local law enforcement and national hotline. And, I have the hotlines I wanted to read out to you. Like, for the human trafficking, we can put in the content section below as well. Human trafficking national hotline is 1-888-3737-888. And the national sexual assault hotline is 1-800-656-4673, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. I wanted to mention those numbers to you because, you need to reach out to the case manager locally, or they can direct you to the local facility. However, as Melissa kindly, introduced me, I am the spokesperson for Hope Picks Global. It is a 100% volunteer operated nonprofit organization that helps people from all backgrounds who are victims, survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault. So if you are in the greater Houston area, feel free to go to the hopepyxglobal.org website so that you can reach out to us and we can guide you or help you directly. And it's very important because we did a search. Did a study in 2019 that there was a shortage of 500 beds in the Houston area alone. And I didn't get a chance to do an update, during the TED Talk because of the, there's a time limit for the talk. But so there are 32 nonprofit organizations. I'm talking about just for the gender-based violence. There are more other kind of nonprofit organizations, but there were only 3, and I can count my fingers, 3 organizations that had, and I use the word had, shelters. And unfortunately, 2 of them were closed, and there's only 1 operational. And I also want to mention that it's very timely, as many of you have seen on the news that because of the Ukraine war, that we have a lot of refugees flooding into the US, and we do welcome them and we do want to help them. And unfortunately, Houston, is the #1 count on crime for human trafficking. And I wanted to mention that number because Houston is going to be the one of the 3 cities that will be mainly housing the Ukrainian refugees. And, Melissa, that when a person is vulnerable, then they are vulnerable for being trafficked. And traffickers has already started their actions. And so we need to take actions, and I cannot address enough, just like from my own effort, I would like to support that as well. And I know that Hope Picks Global has started a fundraising campaign, and I'll be happy to share that as well. So please help us, get them somewhere, because Melissa said, my goal is to provide a safe haven. I mean, what kind of safe haven can we do? The Ukrainian government is asking males of their prime age to stay in the country for the war. What that means is there is only women and children. And what that means, they are the most vulnerable. And when they want nothing but just the basic needs for their housing and food and, just the basic needs. I've seen people on the news and I watched them in tears. They were like, we left everything behind. They had nothing. And these people are taking advantage of them. And I'm not afraid to tell you that to call on the action to join me and join Melissa and join us all together, because this is a global problem and it takes an army to fight it. It's not just me, Eileen, alone. And that goes to why I started this effort. It wasn't easy for me, with the journey, with me being better. Yes, I'm just one of the thousands, millions, billions of people who got better. And believe it or not, statistics shows that 1 in 3 women in America experience sexual assault involves physical violence in their lifetime. So it's normal. And then I'm not just talking about women. I want to let you know that anyone can be a victim regardless of your gender, race, nationality, age, socioeconomic status, or educational level. And even worse, I want to let you know that I live here in Houston, Texas. And again, I wish I can say, yeah, we're the number one that, has the least crime, but unfortunately, because we are on the port, we are the number one, the diversity city in the country because of oil and gas industry and the medical center that we're proudly, providing to the world. However, as you know, where there's demand, there's supply, and you can imagine that, unfortunately, people get paid per diem to stay in a hotel, travel to Houston. And okay, so imagine that. So there is the demand. They're lonely. Whether they're married or not, they're by themselves. And then their hotel is paid for. And they not to say they have, very high paid salaries. They also have per diem. And where does this money go? So I wanted to educate all the people and reach out to different platforms. And that's why, I go to the Miss Texas pageantry. And I was very fortunate to win the Miss Texas title, but it was never about me. It was about the cause. And because in my recovery journey, I have reached out to so many people, and I had to escape for my safety and stay in shelters. And in between shelters, and for some of you who might, ended up in shelters, unfortunately, like me, that shelters, I mentioned there's a shortage. So you don't live in the shelter, you stay in the shelter. And what happens in between the shelters? Are you going to be homeless? Are you, you need a place to stay, you can live in your car. And I almost tried, and my friend said, no, don't do that, because you might suffocate from, carbon monoxide from the gas running, from the heater and things like that. So I had to crash on people's couches. And then the women, my friends, it's not like they don't want to help, but they were afraid. They're women, and some of them are single mothers with children. And they were afraid that my abuser will find me and therefore endanger them and their children. So they cannot accept me. And some of them, they're fair weather friends. You'll know them when you need them. A friend in need is a friend indeed. And they were like, oh, Miss Eileen, I would, when you're in your glorious time, they'll say, thank you for partying with me and going to lunch with me and just go out, have fun. But when you need them, like, I'm sorry, I cannot help you with that. And you know who your friends are, who the fair weather friends are. But the man who accepted me ended up raping me. So, I was kind of stuck in between. Do I choose homelessness, or do I choose being sexually assaulted? And I don't know if you're familiar with the the PCL score. I think it's called the PTSD checklist number or something like that. It's about, I think the numbers goes as high as 80 when 80 is the most severe. I believe my number has gone up to like 76, 77 when it was the worst. Yes, and I was diagnosed with major depression, PTSD, and anxiety. And I remember days that I was like, staying up until 3 in the morning, pacing myself from one end of the house to the other end of the house, just calling all my friends, whoever I can call. And the time when I moved out of my place, my friend who helped me moving noticed something that I did not even know, I wasn't conscious about, was my calendar. They noticed that my calendar wasn't flipped for over 6 months, maybe probably 8 months prior to the date, of the move. So there could have been a lot of bad things happen to me. And I feel very blessed. And I know that this is April, and we're in the month of Easter. And I feel really, really blessed to have met friends from churches, my angels that God has sent to me, to save me. And these people, I can, talk another 2 episodes about sharing testimonies. It's kind of like, I cannot quote the Bible, but I know there were angels that were sent, from God. And so they were sent to me. And for instance, one of the times my car was towed, and I was devastated. I grew up in Shanghai. We can call like the equivalent of Uber, just like in New York City. You can wave at the car in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, but not like here in Texas. If you don't know how to drive or you don't have a car, you're kind of like, stuck. You have to be at people's mercy or take buses and public transportation, which I call like it goes everywhere, but I want to go, I think it's just huge. It takes 8 hours to drive from one place to one end of the state to the other end. So it will take a lot of resources. It's impossible to have a massive public transportation system to cover everything. So in short, my car was towed and I was devastated. I called my friend. I said, we were in a meeting. I went to meet her, and then we came out. My car was towed. I called her, started crying. It was raining, cold, and I just remember it was like, it's just like, you see in those movies, the darkness. It was cold. It was raining. It was in the evening, and my car was missing. And she said, okay, where are you? Wait right there. I'm gonna come pick you up. When she was waiting, I saw a tow truck. And I don't know where I had the courage. I jumped in front of the tow truck and just like did this. I'm like, stop, did you take my car? He asked me, what does your car look like? I gave him a description. He said, yeah, you parked at the wrong place and everything. So this was the first and the last time, I hope, in the US that my car got towed. I had no experience. And then I found out that, you need to pay like over $200 a night and up to 7 nights. And if you do not pay, they will send your car to auction, and you will never see the car again. So I started calling my friends, and then they started praying for me. And the next day, I got people calling me, say, hey, what's going on? Can I help you? And things like that. So I'm like, yeah, I would love to help. So many people called from my church. And not long after that, the brother who called me back, was really angry. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, what? Well, your car is released. You can go pick it up. I'm like, what happened? So I went, picked up my car, and I was so freaked out because that was the same place I went the same night before to look for my car, just to make sure my car was there. And then I asked around, I said, what happened? And it turned out it was the tow truck driver who I jumped in front of, who has released my car. Yes. And I have never met this person. And in fact, I was mad at him and yelling at him. So I said, could I get his phone number? And I got his phone number, and I called him, and I brought him, a cake. I forgot what kind of cake. Just want to show my token of appreciation. And I've only met this man once at the same parking lot where he towed my car. And he pulled out the wallet and showed me a picture of a little girl and told me that was his daughter who had died. And I immediately had tears all over my face. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, he's like, no, I know she's in heaven. And I just know that I wanted to help people because of my daughter. And that's it. And so I wasn't ready to speak out yet at the time. So my people at the church, they were like, can we share your story? Can we share your testimony? I'm like, I'm not sharing it. You can share it. So I didn't, and they did. And so this is just one of the many, many stories that I have. And because of people like them, because of people like, my friends who provided me a roof over my head so that I can get back on my feet, I am here where I am here today. And I mentioned earlier that my family, they're in China, they're 8,000 miles away from here. They cannot be my support system. So I want to be an inspiration to tell people that if I can do this, so can you. And I want to tell people that out of the cultural stigma that I have addressed earlier, that if I can be the voice for the voiceless, so can you. But I know it takes courage and it's a journey. And again, back to the butterfly story. The butterfly story is about, when a caterpillar goes to chrysalis phase, then become a beautiful butterfly. And I want to let you know that in order to become this beautiful butterfly, you have to go through this darkness of the caterpillar phase. And it's not easy, but I can tell you that, I had a son, and again, it's a miracle that, my brother from Scotland, I call my brother, I met him through a mutual friend, and he was here doing church work to fight against, guess what? Human trafficking. And that was the night before he was leaving when I met him. And so he and I started working on my song, The Butterfly. And I'll be happy, to share the link as well for you guys to hear my, healing journey. And I found my power in the healing journey through helping people. And that's why I said, this morning when I was getting ready for our interview, and I was digging through, and I'm sorry I cannot find this verse, but not a verse. I have done lots of things, in addition to the Survivor Against Violence Everywhere support group. I have led other support groups. One of them, I remember reading this, said, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. This is just the end of your old chapter. Now you can happily close that old chapter and start writing your new book. And it is brand new, and there's no limit. And you can fly as high as you want with your full potential in the sky because you are free. And that's the short version of the story. And that's why I kept pushing for it, including the TED Talk, including the Miss Texas title and the show. It's just to provide a platform to serve others and also to raise the awareness to end this crime.
Absolutely. And I just appreciate, thank you so much, for sharing that with us. And, definitely the incredible steps that you took. But I think what's most remarkable to me is that there was that point in time. And so if there's anybody out there who's also thinking, well, I'm definitely not ready either, I don't have that kind of courage yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still processing what happened to me. We totally understand that and we validate that. But clearly someone here who I'm like, wow, it's incredible to hear where you were, because with everything that we already shared, you've touched all these people, you're still trying to do all these great things. But there was a point in time where you were so scared that there were other people who shared your story for you. You know what I mean? So like, to remember that that's where you once were, and like to know that this is where you are now, like literally it's nothing but, like you said, the time that took, you developing that courage, but also giving yourself that opportunity to heal, giving yourself that permission to just start that part of the journey and then letting everything else unfold. And so I think like that was definitely, there was many things I took away, but that was one of them. It's just that, like, that's just incredible to know that, respecting that process and going through it allowed you to then get, develop your wings when you at the right time. And now those wings have allowed you to take flight, but you weren't afraid to, go through those dark moments and, pass through that. And so like these things obviously don't happen overnight as a result. And so there is a lot that goes into it to be able to then have that incredible impact on others and be able to help, like you said, raise awareness on these great causes. So I agree. I think it's just, wonderful to be able to do that. And that's why I think it's so necessary to do that. And yes, I agree. And I think that that's and I also love, like you said, that it has helped you to then meet other people who have then, have continued to also help in it. I mean, it's how we met. So like, that's also how we met too, is that we were
Definitely.
just exactly joined by our passion, really. I mean, we just wanted to be able to help others. These are actually like things that we do in addition to our work. So I don't know if everybody knows, but yep, completely volunteer. These are things that Eileen and I do. We actually do plenty of other things for as far as income is concerned, but these are things that we just do from the heart. I mean, this isn't like, we don't get paid like monetarily. We get paid by just the contributions and knowing that we're helping other people. So I just, I absolutely love to hear that. And I agree, it may not be about you, but it is an incredible story that you're sharing, and so I agree that you're definitely, it's very evident to me that that's what you're moved by, that that's what you're driven by, that is what, marks everything that it is that you do. And so I think that that's why it's also been so blessed, everything that you've been doing. And so it's been able to grow. I feel like it's been able to prosper because it is such a genuine thing that you're doing, and just being able to, help other people with it. So I am like over the moon, excited that that's where we are. But yeah, TEDx, this was definitely a recent, so this is a recent thing, y'all, like y'all heard. We will be getting the link. You all can feel free to, join in on that. But this was definitely something recently that happened. So you've had all these other opportunities to share your story now that you own it. But that was one as well. So I'm super curious now that you shared, and like I said, thank you for doing so, about your journey prior to TEDx, prior to all your work now and everything like that. I'm curious, like, was that your idea? Did somebody like suggest that maybe you should go on the, or have a TED talk? Was that always like a lifelong dream of yours? I'm just curious how that even came about.
Well, first of all, I just want to address my thank you and appreciation personally to Melissa. Yes, Melissa and I met like what, I was thinking this morning, over a year ago now. We have become
Yes.
like really like, I would call soulmates, but we're definitely like, warrior sisters. And I call my warrior sisters because we are fighting in this together. And she has worked behind the scene tirelessly and not paid and all volunteers. So I just wanted to give kudos to Melissa for your hard work, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, so for TEDx, I feel like it's a journey. And like I said in the beginning, it's like, when I'm working for people, people will work for me. When I open doors for people, doors will open for me. And interesting enough, I want to use a story about the Chinese food, the Chinese restaurant. Might not be totally relevant. When I first got here, my friends took me to the Chinese restaurant. They were like, yeah, let's order General Tao chicken and egg foo young. And they were like, they're so familiar with the menu, and they will all just say, Eileen, please eat. And I'm so grateful that they show me this hospitality, and even until today I feel the warmth in my heart. But I was so lost and confused. I'm like, what is General Tao chicken? What is it for y'all? I've never heard about that before. So out of curiosity, I tried them. They taste yummy, yummy, yummy. Don't take me wrong, but I'll be honest, we don't have those on the menu in China. And then the most importantly, when we finish, we get this fortune cookie. And I'm like, what is this? And they were like, oh, you get the fortune cookie when you eat at the Chinese restaurant. So I said, okay, that's new as well. Because in China, they will give you like, they like to give you fruits. They will give you like an orange already sliced, or watermelon. It's seasonal depending on the time of the year. But I'm like, I've never seen fortune cookie. The reason why I mentioned that is I have become a huge fan of fortune cookie. And this is all like improvising, so I don't really have that with me. I wish I do, but I remember it's just on the fortune cookie note, and I still kept it somewhere. It says doors will open for you. That's all. That's what it says, and I kept that. And it really, I think it was like, people were sent in my path, including you, Melissa, wonderful people and my angels in my path to help me. And, from going to the pageantry and that story, and that led to the TEDx. I think my girlfriend actually didn't want to do the pageantry, and her boyfriend had paid for her to enter the pageantry. She's like, I don't want to do this alone. You should do it with me. I said, I don't want to do pageantry. I'm not interested. She said, you know what? You like dancing, you like this. And But when I heard like pageantry platform, oh yeah, cause okay, I'm in. So I did it, and then she didn't win, and I won. So I feel like there are people that were put in my path to open the door for me, and that was just like the beginning of the path. And I have a dream to become a goodwill ambassador for United Nations, and I think I'm on my path, on the right path to do that. And same as TED Talk. So as you can see that there are links on my Facebook of so many different interviews, including a few that talking about which I just remembered. I felt so honored, and it was a surprise. I got a call from a friend who I invited to, and then this is like the paper. That was the picture. And then different magazines. I know that on the International Focus magazine, and even different communities that I work with, the ethnic, because of my work that help training law enforcement and providers in culture informed and travel informed care for victims. But in short, this is not about me, but I feel like when you do things, the doors are just gonna open. And so it took a while. I think it started probably last year. So when a friend who has become, he literally told me, he's like, I'm your like secret admirer now. He was just joking about my cause. He's like, after he heard my talk and read about my bio, and we have been friends for a long time, and we used to be dance partners. And some of the pictures show that I dance, and I have totally dropped out that, as Melissa said, we have our daytime job and the evening time job, which we love but don't get paid. So like I literally don't have time to date or to go party or dance anymore. But he contacted me. He said, what, I was on this TED Talk, and I think you would be great to do that. He even connected me, did a warm introduction with the TED Talk group, and say, this is this person, and these are the links of her works, and I highly recommend her. I am a TED Talk speaker and things like that. But guess what? And I really wasn't thinking about doing that, but I was discouraged because, like I said, that was over a year ago, and he introduced me to them, and nobody ever bothered to respond. Okay, and knowing me, I'm like, okay, I'm a go-getter. You reject me, I'm gonna fight for it. So I started, reaching out to different TED Talk groups. I reached out to, I think it was Delaware, Florida, local, and Illinois, different groups. It's quite a journey, and it took me, like I said, over a year to pitching my my speech. And what I learned very importantly is it's like yes, I think it's very true that it's not what you know, it's what who you know. But I will tell you that you need both. You can't just have who you know and not have what you know. And because TED Talk is a global organization, I believe their viewership was 34.6 million. Last time I looked at the YouTube channel, and they have different. I did the thorough study. They have TEDx Ed, they have TEDx Youth, they have they have TEDx for nonprofit, they have TEDx for corporations, internals, and etc. etc. So like you have to pitch in to the right group. It all depends on what your niche is, and then also very importantly, they have their guidelines, because it's not about self-promotion. Like when I get on the talk, I mean, I'm not even talking about me, but talking about the nonprofit organization, we have to follow the guidelines. And then what are the what is in for right now, right? We're talking about human trafficking. Yes, I think it's much needed. So I think all of these plays into how I landed the TED Talk. And not to mention my experience. You'll laugh about that. It's a journey, and I have this shirt I wanted to show you, my supporters. they made this T-shirt, and it's like sacred, and I'm saving it for me. And then I know that we have drawn like different. These are the drafts of the logos for the Team Eileen. The different logos for Team Eileen that my supporters, and this just like so warms my heart. And they all say like I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of what you have done. And again, I tell them this is not about me. I'm really glad that you come support me, but I want you to continue to come support my cause so that my people will be free, and most importantly, our children will be free. And that is my goal. That my goal is for that. So I think these are the things. And I'm also very excited to announce that this Melissa doesn't even know, because I didn't even know. I have received overwhelming amounts of private messages, emails, texts about, I want to know how you got become a TEDx speaker. I want to be a TEDx speaker. And instead of just doing it like one-on-one, I'm going to launch the coaching to help people to launch their TED Talk, because it's so much needed. We all have our messages, and like I said, I want to call all of you to join us. And of course, I would love you to join me and Melissa on what's close to us to fight sexual assault, human trafficking, domestic violence. But this is a global issue. But there are so many things that needs to be worked on. I mean, just violence alone. If you have your own passion, have your own inner power that you can do for whatever that you care about, that, my purpose is served here today. My purpose is served on a TED Talk, and I want to continue to do that. But just remember that, I call it like hashtag together we can, and hashtag till everyone is free, because our children are in danger. And just now I forgot to mention a story that took place in Houston. And I want to ask you, Melissa, and I think probably it's not very fair that you work in this field, but tell our viewers who you think the typical pimps are for sex trafficking.
I would definitely say, well, actually, I mean, there are a lot of people that, I mean, I don't know if I could pinpoint them to exactly like one type of individual, but I was going to say it's definitely unlike the characters that we see in movies. And so I think what's funny is that I actually grew up on the typical pimp that was in there, like with his hat, like with a certain outfit that he had on. He was like the pimp of the neighborhood and things like that. And so I just know that I don't have like an exact category. I just know that that's actually the biggest myth that I learned once I got into the work, that it's not like the guy that I saw in the movie that I thought was really cool. Because that was the other thing. I actually grew up thinking pimps were cool and that they were, actually something to, in that. So yeah, that's my short answer.
Well, very well, because that is kind of like the stereotype of pimps. Like I even used to think like people who are trafficked are people like foreigners like me, who doesn't look like you guys, and who speak English with the accent or doesn't speak English, and they get shipped in a container. And that's why there's a difference between human trafficking and smuggling. So that is smuggling. And human trafficking, by definition, is the unlawful act of coercing people into doing something in order to benefit from their work or services. That's why I was talking about Ukrainians. That definitely falls into this category. And, I want to mention that because the story I'm about to tell is that there is this mother in Houston accused of selling her 2-year-old baby daughter and bringing to somewhere. I can tell you, I can drive there in 30 minutes to sell her for sex. And I'm going to ask you another question. How much do you think she's selling her for 30 minutes?
Oh God. Unfortunately, I don't know, but
I
just
know.
feel
I mean, this is so brutal. I mean, it's just like, I have goosebumps when I talk about that. $2,500 US dollars.
Oh no. I was wondering if it was around in the thousands, but wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, it's not even about the money, but luckily the buyer was an undercover cop and the baby
God.
was rescued. And I wanted to tell this story because this is happening to everyone, and not just happening to everyone, anyone can be a pimp. And we need to keep our eyes widely open, because if anyone, like I said, it's not just like girls or women, it can be boys and men. And for this International Book Awards, I'm so proud that our work, my work and Melissa's work, and you've interviewed our guest Doug Probst and Dr. Greg Williams. These are the two heroes, because men are taught like you're gonna be toughened up and just suck up and dry the tears and just man up and don't say anything. But you need to speak up. You need to speak out. And people and who have experienced these traumas, some end up with physical illnesses and as severe as cardiovascular diseases, which I talked about in the TED Talk as well. So back to this, so I wanted to provide this platform to help people to get on the TEDx platform so that they can get their purpose, whether their cause is to help with mental health. I have advocates, they reach out to me and they're working in different states. I believe in Massachusetts, in Florida, in Texas, like different advocates, they're working on the bills. And I'm very proud to be on the advisory board for the Texas Council for Family Violence as well, to advise them on the policies as well as a survivor advocate. But whatever it is your platform, whatever it is that you care about, whatever it is your power is, utilize that so that we can make the world a better place. And again, this baby was 2 years old, but I really hope that with our work, that our next generation, I don't have children, and I know Melissa got beautiful babies, they're like dolls every time I see them, right? So I feel like again, back to the purpose, I feel like I didn't have children, and at first I feel kind of regretful. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have children. But you know what, I now get to use my love to help those people and help the children from the shelters and help our children, my children, that they will be free, that the darkness will overcome, the light will overcome the darkness. And I wanted to show you this bracelet. So this bracelet was given by a little girl from the shelter when we did a Christmas party for them. So yeah, I brought the Christmas carol and brought the gifts for the drawing. So this was the Women and Children's Shelter it was a buy service for domestic violence and sexual assault. So these are all victims. And there was this lady came to me, hold my hands, and started crying. It's like, I did a short version of the speech because it was Christmas. You know how people already have seasonal depression. Not to mention these people say, I used to have a home. I used to be married to this person, even if this person abused me. I could celebrate Christmas at home, but now I'm homeless and I don't have anyone who care about me. And not to mention the power and the control that these abusers and traffickers do to them to make them feel like no self-worth and worthless. And that's why I promote, you are enough, because they're not the ones who judge you. They think you're damaged goods, but they're not the ones. You are the one that come from within, and you have to come through this darkness. It's just a period. But this little girl gave me this bracelet, and it just put a smile on our face. We took a picture together, a selfie together. You'll see on the TED Talk, it was on the slides. And I wear this every day because I want to remember this, because I want to remember that I want to put a smile on our victims' faces. And so this is what I do. And, tune in. You can reach out to me on social media. Like I said, LinkedIn and Facebook, Eileen Dawn. You can search me there and then reach me by email, missusatexas@gmail.com. I'll be putting the link as soon as it becomes available. And if there's any way I can help you to land your next, whether it's your first or next TED Talk, let me know.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an incredible opportunity is that, yes, I mean, that's definitely going to naturally be where my head goes too. Like, I think it's awesome you have a TED talk. How can I, like, how can other people learn how to do that? So I think it is incredible that, and a wonderful service that you're providing to others to give them that guidance. And because most people don't, I mean, I think a lot of people, get that incredible opportunity, but they don't necessarily share it, or maybe they just don't have that opportunity. Or like in your case, the word we've used a lot, platform. And so I just think it's wonderful that, and very generous of you actually, and thoughtful that you do want to do that, because I do think that naturally a lot of people who are inspired by that would love to learn. So I think it's just wonderful that you're doing that. And I definitely hope more people do take advantage of that when she makes that coaching available, because agreed, I don't know when you can ever say that you got taught how to be able to land an opportunity like that, which is really a once in a lifetime type of thing. I mean, there's definitely people that probably aspire to do it because they don't know the proper steps to take, may not get that chance. And so it has nothing to do with them, it's just not knowing how to navigate that process. And so I just think it's wonderful that you're going to be able to help people connect the dots, make it easier for them, and then hopefully help them to do it. And that's the great thing about it, right? It's not just that obviously you stand to gain nothing by doing that, you just want to be able to help others also be able to share what they have to share. So it's just wonderful that you would be able to give them those tools and that like guidance that they may not get elsewhere. So I love it. I'm glad. I think that's going to be amazing. But also, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I want to give you opportunity to also share. What are you doing? TED Talk happened. I'm sure there's so many other things that are going to be happening in the future, but what is else on the agenda for Eileen Dawn? What else are you up to?
Well, thank you for this opportunity, Melissa. Yes, I am very, very excited and honored to be the chair of the International Book Awards this year. It's going to take place in Houston, Texas, and it is the International Book Awards. So anyone from anywhere in the world, we have already received entries from, I think, India, and entries from Cyprus in Europe. And I believe Melissa has received the guest, and because we are a very proud partner with the Book Awards to interview these guests and to get to know them. And, again, I think, with COVID, it's about the attitude about a glass half full kind of attitude, right? With COVID, that we're able to reach people that we would never have imagined. But the same thing that, if you cannot be here in person, I mean, obviously, I think the networking opportunity will be great because you are meeting the people working in this field that you're passionate about. But if you cannot make it for whatever reason, I understand, there's lockdown still in some countries and very strict travel restrictions. I heard in Europe there's some I don't even know how to pronounce those like masks that was required, like not like the regular masks. So if you cannot, these will be available online virtually as well. But I think this is like one of a lifetime opportunity. And I wanted to say that because people will hear like book awards. What does that have to do with book awards? I'll be honest, with my pageantry, I have supported, and I still do, like the Red Cross, American Heart Association, breast cancer awareness, all kinds of awareness, and I still do. But I only have so many hours in a day. I already volunteer so many hours, I just don't have enough time. So I focus on the areas on these, like I mentioned, the gender-based violence. But, I think these are really important. And the difference between our International Book Awards versus just the regular book awards, which, you can see in the content section below, which will be linked, is about highlighting our heroes, again, our warriors. I just call, it's so heartwarming. Like I wake up, one of my sisters, my warrior sisters, text me, say, Miss Eileen, I just want to share this with you. I got this message from my followers or from my, fellow survivors, and so far my work have, impacted so many people and touched so many lives. And thank you so much for providing this opportunity. And this is my why. I wanted to, not only be the influence myself, because like I said, it takes the army. yes, I can do, but it takes many of me. We have to multiply. So I want you to join the force with me, but I also want to give an opportunity to recognize the hard work, because, of all of us, including Melissa, we know that we work actually harder in this non-paid work than our paid work, because this is our passion. And I hope that one day I will create this shelter and create this opportunity for our people that come out of the shelter to have the work skills. And, I will keep dreaming, and I will dream about having an opportunity to provide them a workplace to continue their journey. So yes, I'm just like, the opportunities are endless. And then in addition to the books that are being accepted for those who have spoken out, we also understand, like we talk about our journeys and different phases of a journey. Maybe you're not quite ready to speak out, or maybe you haven't quite finished your book. We also want to give you an opportunity to highlight your experience and share your story by entering whether you have a poem that you have written. I know, Melissa, when I interviewed you the first time, you have like, I'm like so pleasantly surprised, heard you. And I remember exactly, that was over a year ago, and you said, I do not owe you an answer, right? So like so many people, you have your own voice, whatever it is, your voice. And some people, I have another lady who contacted me, and she's gonna enter her song. I cannot wait to listen to the song because it brings hope to people. And then I have one of our other ladies, she has written the book, it's not quite out yet, and she has entered her show, similar to the Miss Texas show, that the show can be entered as a voice and a platform. And we also have visual arts. I believe I saw the post that our team has posted. One of our survivors, she's from California, but she lives in Houston, where I met her from. And she's a survivor of domestic abuse, sexual assault, and sex trafficking. She made this like beautiful painting, and it just speaks itself. I strongly recommend. It's not on my social media. It's on Hope Pix Global, Hope PYX Global. You can find it on Facebook, find it on Instagram and LinkedIn. But you can see like the type of work, and including this one. We have so many people who are passionate and donated their time and effort, because I said, my dream, and that dream, that was before COVID. So I wanted to encourage you guys, just dream, because it takes the same time to dream small or dream big, and dream big. And you have the opportunity, and there is the hope at the end of the tunnel. But this is not the end. This is just the beginning, and keep dreaming. And I look forward to seeing you all in Houston, Texas in October.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those, so those who are, and sorry, yeah, you're right. I was like, gotta work on whether or not I'm gonna put my entry, and I gotta make sure I put all my little ducks in a row for it. But you're right. I was like, oh, that is a good opportunity. So obviously others like myself, don't just sit on it, think about it, take advantage if you want to, but also even if you can't do, if you don't want to submit things yourself, support it. I definitely think this is something worth supporting, and worth, being able to encourage as well. So that's the last thing I wanted to ask, Eileen, if you don't mind, is that if others just want to support, if they do want to be part of it, how can they do that? How, if they just also, want to come, whatever it is, how can they do those things?
Absolutely. So, we do need a lot of volunteers, as you hear that we are all volunteer basis. So we need volunteers. So we're looking for people who are experienced event planners, people who are experienced in social media, in marketing, in sponsorship, because we are hoping that this will be opportunity, fundraising opportunity. And again, because we're all volunteer, nobody draws the salary. That means this pot will go to the shelter funds that will go one step closer for us to provide. And I really hope that, I set a conservative goal that 2028, we will have a shelter up and running. But, I'll keep praying, and I would love your support. We're not going to turn it down if we have a shelter right now, because right now with this thing happening from Ukraine, we really need it right now. and let's see what we can do. So with that being said, if you can donate, we would love you to donate. Go to hopepyxglobal.org and you will see on the homepage the donate button. But if you cannot donate, whether you share the donate button, share the campaign for Ukraine, share the book awards for those who you know or yourself who are the voice and who are the survivors and the heroes. And also, I would love for you to come attend this event, because I think, in addition to great opportunity for networking, we are going to make this, fun for you. And we're gonna just tune in. We're gonna keep you posted. It's gonna be a fun event because I know we need to practice self-care. So this event is gonna be two part. One is the conference. So we have the series conference, talk about what we do, people's stories, and have them share the stories, keynote speaker, etc. About the keynote speaker is Victoria Valentino. For some of you who don't know, already know, it's also on the website. You'll see like on the homepage. She's a Bill Cosby survivor. She was the centerfold model for Playboy magazine. So we're so honored to have her to be here as the keynote speaker, and definitely come along and just listen to her story and network. But the second part is the award ceremony. So we're gonna make this, so many of us are working so hard, and I myself, just to let you in a little bit, got sick and facing surgery. Actually, just went to the doctor the whole day yesterday. So just consulting them on the possibilities and things like that. But in short, we do need to practice self-care. So we want this to be an opportunity for us to network, and for so obviously we'll be selling the ticket, and the ticket will go to benefit after, whatever the cost of everything will benefit for the shelter. And then you get the opportunity to have some fun and practice self-care. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I can't wait for the release to tell you guys, but we're gonna keep that a secret a little bit longer.
Awesome. So as y'all heard, there's a lot of reasons why you can to either support it, to either be there, or to at least tell other people who might want to do it themselves. So either spread the word, feel free to donate yourself, or just come, be there. And then you won't have to tell anybody about it because you'll be there. And then they'll want to take advantage as well. Bring a friend, do what you want. So this is definitely something amazing to take advantage of. And it's cool. It's such a great culmination and expression of the growth of the efforts that have been taking place. So it's just a great illustration of it, collection of it, but also something fun that can be shared amongst everyone. So I love that there's going to be these different elements there. So yay. So with that, I'm definitely happy. I hope, others take advantage. Is there anything else you would like to share before we end our time together?
I just want to thank you, Melissa, for this opportunity. I've been so busy, and we've been so busy and never got an opportunity to share. I think it's time now, because so many people has asked about what about your story. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to thank you all for the hard work that you're doing, wherever you're doing, whatever that you're doing. And I'm just like, the fingertip away with the social media now. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and you can reach me on my personal page, which is Eileen Dong Official. Also, you can reach us on the Miss Texas Show, Miss USA Texas, and you can find those links on the content section below. And if there's anything I can help you, feel free to reach out. I'm here for you.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. And I feel like you're clearly hearing a wealth of knowledge here, folks, that you can be taken advantage of. So definitely feel free to connect. Feel free to, just to, ask away anything you want to ask. Or also, if you just want to make that genuine connection with someone that you feel like you resonated with, this is your chance. So, feel free to do it any way you see fit. But as always, thank you also for tuning in, and engaging us in this wonderful conversation. But, always and always, we always appreciate you. So thank you, Eileen, and thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you all.